Right, hello everybody. You will notice that there has been a lack of content recently. So first things first is everything is fine, okay? I think if you miss an upload, people start to think, "Ooh, what's going on?" And then if you miss two, people just go, people in the comments go wild with these thoughts and conspiracy theories. I haven't gone bankrupt, all right? I haven't lost my job. I'm not homeless. I haven't killed myself. I have all these things. Everything is okay, all right? I'm just busy. Okay? That's all it is. It really is as simple as that. I'm just busy at the moment. A lot's been happening. There has been a new guy started about 2 weeks ago. There's another new guy starting on the 2nd of March, 1st or 2nd of March, and the new admin, she started on Monday, so this is her third or fourth day today. So there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, which is why the content hasn't been when work gets really busy, the content just takes a step back because that's just the nature of it. It has to. So everything is fine. It's just there's a lot of change going on. There's new people starting, admin start. There's just lots going on. So anyway, this video which you're about to see is one which was actually cut together a couple of days ago, in fact. So I'll leave this one with you, and thank you for staying as true subscribers and enjoy the show. Right, this is day 2, everybody. I've got to tie this down with something. 2 minutes. I treated myself to a set of ratchet straps the other day. They're awesome. That will go nowhere. Yeah, they're much better than zip ties. Right, now I've tied everything down on the roof. I've done that before. Left the whole sailor and the whole fucking lot's gone off the side of the van. Right, today is outside lighting, RCD tripping, impossible to find fault. The customer here was basically saying that every time they turn the RCBO on, because there's a fuse board inside and it's all RCBOs, but every time they turn the RCBO on for the lights, it just trips straight away. And I came out here the other day and sod's law it weren't tripping. I started messing around and disconnecting the blatantly obvious things that aren't right, but there is a common misconception that just a tiny amount of moisture can trip an RCD, which I suppose is true, but that is currently live, and I'd say there's more than just a little bit of moisture and condensation there. There's quite a bit actually, which does, RCDs do actually have quite a lot of tolerance. They are actually surprisingly tolerant when you consider how much moisture is actually on that cable, and it is actually still holding. I was just saying I thought was worth noting, because everyone goes on, oh, tiny amount of moisture you need, and actually not so much. You'd be surprised how tolerant these things are. Right, we've got power to this fitting, but this one I think is just the LED's dead. For this sort of stuff you need a lot of patience. It's the sort of thing I find you just book in, you just tell the client, look, I'm just going to book in, say 4 hours to start with, and we'll just see how we get on. Because stuff like this, you can really chase your tail if you're not careful. I find if you've got things like a tripping RCD for garden lights and stuff, I'm actually, 2 seconds, I'm just going to get some blue roll and some Wagos. That's the easiest way to deal with it. Shall dry off said connections. Yeah, when you're doing fault finding, blue roll, or yellow roll in my case, and a lot of patience is key. Okay, that was just a dodgy lamp. Right, I can shine up against the tree so the squirrels can see where they're going at night. Excellent. The best way I find of doing it is disconnect, find roughly where halfway is in the garden on the circuit, just roughly halfway, disconnect the wiring from that Wago, from that whisker box. So disconnect it. This isn't the halfway, actually this is almost at the end of the circuit, but this is, just imagine that was halfway. Disconnect the feed in and feed out, completely and then just re-energize the circuit. If it works, you know the fault's on the last half of the circuit. You've narrowed it by 50%, the amount of fault finding you've had to do. That I find is a quick method. If you're trying to do fault finding quickly, just go to the halfway point, disconnect it, and that'll just tell you whether, you know, when you re-energize it, that'll just tell you whether it's the front half or the back half of the circuit that's faulty. That's the way I do it anyway. I've got 2 out. Let's see if we can get the 3rd one out. Right. This is why you use grease on the threads when you're doing recessed lighting, driveway lights, sunken in lights, anything like that. So that lid comes off, circlip comes out. Now, is that the lamp holder that died, or is that... fucking here we go. Come on, give me a flicker, anything. Let me know that I'm not just staring into an empty void. Oh, the dog giving me a ball. Go on, Digby. We have lights, so bright and shiny. Top tip. When you put these back, take these screws, get some lithium grease. I'm not throwing that ball again. Oh, Digby. Take some lithium grease and just put a blob of it on the end of the screw before you put it back into the fitting. And that way, in 5 years' time, or however long, you won't have that wrestling match you saw me have a minute ago. Because that way, the screw will just slide straight out. Only a little bit, hasn't got to be much, but it just makes life a lot easier in future. And tighten them up bit by bit. Don't tighten one up fully and then tighten them up sequentially, a little bit at a time. Yeah, you spend a large proportion of your time in winter working outside, you know. You don't, a lot of people think, you know, oh, electricians spend most of their time working outside in summer and inside in winter. You actually don't. It's the opposite most of the time. Like you've seen in this video, you spend most of it actually doing garden lighting in winter, because it gets dark in the evenings and people are like, oh, let's switch on our garden lights, and they fail. So you actually spend up most of winter actually working outside, and summer you spend most of it working inside. So yeah, that's quite handy to carry. It doesn't have to be lithium grease, it can be copper slip, it can be anything, as long as it's some sort of a thick, like machine grease of some sort. That's all it needs to be. I mean, that's only a cheap car lube one, but it does the job. I've thrown the ball for the dog and now he won't leave me alone. That was a mistake. Oh, your ball's gone under the chair, pal. You're out of luck, mate, because I'm not getting it. Right, one more. Alright, quick spider check. Digby, I don't want to be rude, but can you piss off? There we go, one new one in. Done. Sopping wet. This is the thing about 12-volt garden lights. They can get full of water and they don't trip. It is one advantage they do have. That's the quickest way. And I'll bet I'll put a bulb in and it'll still work. Told you it would, see? That's the one good thing about 12-volt, it doesn't short out, but I have actually got to come back to change these because I can't leave it like that. It's a bit shit, but it does. I think next month I'm booked in to come back and change them all over. Right, and for anyone who is wondering, the transformers are a little unusual actually. They're actually down here. So that there is the Lutron system. That is DB8, 8 distribution boards in one house. That's DB8, those are the Lutron packs, and I actually don't know what those drivers are for. I actually don't know. I think there's 1 or 2 LED lights out there in the garden. What I wanted to talk about with these are actually the packs for the 12-volt lighting. Unusual, you don't see these very often anymore. So these packs are rated at about 300 watts each. You have a great big chunky supply cable going into it. Sorry, it's this one here, and then you've got an even fatter, because that's carrying the 12-volt supply, so it's got to be like super fat and chunky, which then goes up to here. So that's actually the 12-volt supply cable, and that then just goes off to all of the... They've just bridged it across. A little bit crude, but you can see what they've done. They've just bridged it across, and all of these are the feed outs going to the garden lights. But it's unusual that you see such fat transformers. Normally, you know, you see this type of transformer. Yeah, so that one there can run 650 watts garden lights. So that's 6, 12, so there's 3 here. So that's 18, say 20 garden lights you could run off that. This is the other thing, you get water pumps in the winter. You get a lot of that, pond pumps. So this one here, I actually cleaned that one out a couple of weeks back. Customer rang me up because during the summer they have it on, but all the leaves are on the trees. But come winter, leaves all fall, and you end up having it clogs up the pumps, and then they switch the pumps on, it trips the fuse. So you end up, although it's not actually an electrician's job, you end up doing a lot of service work on like pond pumps and stuff. So that's quite common in winter time as well, because I've just done this pump here. I have to wrestle all this back in now. This is not a thought through design. It'll be at this point some African killer spider's going to come out and say hello. Why did someone not think this design through?
We work cheap. We do good job. We're very cheap. We'll give you good price. Once we drive off, there is no guarantee. We give you good price. We're very cheap. We cheap for a reason. I take your money. I drive home. We cheapest contractor in town.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. To be fair, it's not actually the worst job I've ever seen. I've come across significantly worse in my time. Yeah, so things like these pumps here. So you just take the handle comes off, top piece comes off, and there's just a filter inside. And you literally just take it's like a Henry Hoover almost. Take the filter out, clean it out, and you just put it back in. And you put some of that in, a bit of fountain clean, just to help keep it, stop the algae from building up, and that's it. But you do a lot of those, or I find anyway.